Okay, let's unpack this.
I'm ready.
So today we are doing a deep dive into some truly unique source material. And you know how we love an unconventional map.
Oh, this is definitely unconventional.
We are not looking at, an academic paper or a historical document. We are dissecting the lyrical architecture of an industrial hip-hop track.
A horrorcore track even. It's called Load Bearing Child.
And the intensity, it hits you right away.
Immediately.
These lyrics, they function as more than just verse. They're like high-grade psychological poetry. It's a survival narrative, but detailed with this almost terrifying precision.
And you can't separate it from the soundscape.
No, you absolutely can't. The methodical repeats, the echo scripts that seem to just warp time.
And those harsh industrial crashes, the vocal effects.
That pitched-down demon echo.
Yeah.
But that's not just atmosphere.
Not at all. They're narrative tools. They're sonic markers for these psychological states.
Exactly. So we're treating this source as like a blueprint for surviving extreme designed trauma.
That's the mission, right? To extract that core psychological architecture. When we map this out, the central theme was it was inescapable. Load-bearing child. Load-bearing child and trauma survival. This whole thing is a document of structural coping. It explains how a personality is forged under, extreme duress.
So how are we going to structure this?
Well, to make sense of this incredibly dense material, we've broken it down into 5 pillars, really.
Okay.
We'll start with identity and self-definition, so how the self is constructed. Then the transformation of pain, how suffering gets repurposed.
Right.
Third is confronting generational trauma, which is that historical weight. Fourth, we have to look at the specific source of the pain, the mother figure. And finally, we'll land on action and resistance, the response. We're trying to understand the mechanical reality of how the mind designs a way to survive something that feels like it was designed for it.
And this is where it gets so interesting right from the very beginning.
Yeah, the hook.
The hook. It sets up this core psychological metaphor. Survival isn't healing. It's not bouncing back. It's a deliberate, almost painful construction.
It's aggressive.
So aggressive. The central metaphor is armor and the way it's delivered.
Let's get into the line.
The line that anchors everything is, I stitched my pain into armor, and then right after that, wore the trauma like a throne.
Like a throne. That imagery, it suggests that trauma wasn't just passively absorbed, it was harvested. It was made functional.
It's such a profound shift in the power dynamic. This isn't just resilience, where you just endure something.
No, it's active weaponization.
Yeah.
The trauma itself becomes the building material.
In that aggressive stance, we see it in the next line. If the world wants me broken, then I'll sharpen every bone.
Right. The speaker is essentially saying, you gave me this destructive material and I'm going to use it to make myself indestructible.
And that transformation, it really sets the stage for the speaker's entire adult identity.
It does. If you look at that first pillar, identity and self-definition, the speaker claims this absolute self-reliance based on this newly forged self.
There's no need for external validation anymore?
None at all.
Yeah.
The self is now fully comprehensive.
Okay, can we pause on that? Comprehensive internal definition. It sounds clinical, but what does that actually mean here in these lyrics?
It means they create a universe where they are the only necessary variable.
The only thing that has to be there.
Precisely. The lyrics state it so plainly. I'm the light, I'm the dark, I'm the fate, and I learn to carry it alone. They absorb everything.
All the contradictions.
All of them, the light, the dark. They incorporate it all into a single, unified, functional identity. The source even lists the roles they have to play.
The weight bearer, fate carrier.
Light holder, shadow warrior. Their survival is completely defined by what they can carry alone.
Which makes sense. If your environment is chaotic or actively harmful, the most reliable thing is what you build inside.
It has to be. They declare themselves the constant in the chaos. They don't just cope with the architecture, they become the architecture.
So the armor isn't just protection.
It's the new definition of self.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's pivot. From that personal armor to the battleground itself. Because this is about more than just personal pain. It feels systemic.
It's rhetorical.
The speaker is fighting a suffering that feels, predetermined. Like they're fighting history itself.
And there's a confidence there, too.
A striking confidence. Cut through the system while it trembled in my hands.
Which elevates the conflict. It's not just about circumstance anymore. When they talk about generational trauma, it's not an accident.
It's a fatalistic context.
Exactly. They say, can't simplify pain when the pain's by design. Nothing certain, but the curse in my bloodline.
The curse in my bloodline. Wow.
So the explicit goal, breaking generational chains, becomes this epic, almost mythic struggle because the curse feels like it's written into their DNA,
It implies the system of pain has been refined over time.
making it exceptionally difficult to dismantle. The victim doesn't just need to heal their wounds, they have to rewrite their entire operating code.
And that generational chain. It leads us right to the specific source of the trauma.
The mother figure.
The portrait painted here in the lyrics it's just so vivid, but also deeply unsettling. It's like this clinical horror.
Familial closeness mixed with total emotional detachment.
She's described with this theatrical malice, right? Insanity in a brittle disguise, built of venom and 1,000 lies.
But the truly frightening parts, for me, relate to her coldness. That narcissistic glow with an ego on ice.
Yes, that detached quality is so critical. It explains the kind of defense the speaker had to build.
And her cruelty is described with such precision. A smile that cuts cleaner than a scalpel slice.
A scalpel slice, so it's not messy, it's surgical, unemotional.
Administered with precision. And this is where we have to bring the sound design back in.
Right, because the lyrics use that word over and over. Methodical.
Yes. Her love is described as methodical. And in the audio, that word glitches. It morphs into mechanical and cold.
It's that echo ritual you hear in the track. It sounds like a broken clock or
A broken lullaby. That's a good way to put it. And that transition from methodical to mechanical is the whole point.
It wasn't chaotic abuse.
No, it was planned, ritualistic, predictable. It was a pattern. And when trauma is delivered with that kind of precision,
It forces the victim to build their defenses with equal precision, almost robotic.
they have to learn the pattern to survive.
So if the original harm was methodical, the survival identity has to be just as precise.
It has to be.
Which brings us to that pillar of action and resistance. How does that survivor respond?
By completely reversing the narrative.
The victimhood is transformed into empowerment. The lyrics draw this powerful contrast, between their history and their current self.
The line about crawling out of nothing.
Crawled up out of nothing, never begged, never groaned. They just removed petition and submission from the equation entirely.
And they detail this metaphorical reversal. They reframe every negative input as a positive weapon.
Like, turn my childhood scars to a counterattack.
And that truly powerful image turned the grave they dug into a victory track.
So they're not succeeding despite the past.
They're succeeding because they know the internal blueprint of destruction.
And to do that, you need an arsenal. And the metaphors in verse 1 are so rooted in modern tech and rebellion.
Very contemporary.
Let's talk about the analogy they use for power.
The speaker compares themselves not just to a tool, but to this. Unpredictable, rebellious technology that the systems architects never saw coming.
GPT is a tool, but I'm the blade they never planned.
Yes.
Now, for you listening and trying to keep up with this, why is citing GPT so potent there?
Well, it's perfect shorthand, isn't it? For predictable, systematic intelligence. Something designed to follow rules and work from existing patterns.
But the speaker is the blade.
The blade they never planned. They're the disruptive, organic, unpredictable force that can't be trained or contained by that system.
It positions them as an evolutionary leap.
It does. And that theme continues with the time bomb metaphor.
Oh, right. The bomb they lost and forgot to defuse.
Ticking in the silence while I headline the news. It's an internal device, the result of that trauma pressure cooker that will inevitably explode.
But not in self-destruction.
No, in self-definition, visible to the world.
And the final one, the ghost, which speaks to that persistence beyond being buried.
I'm the ghost they tried to bury, now I'm clawing my way back. They were meant to be erased.
But now they exist outside the rules of the system that tried to kill them.
And all of this resistance is fueled internally. The crucial line for me is that survival hinges on nobody but the fire that kept me thriving.
It comes right back to that comprehensive internal definition.
You don't need external warmth if you are your own furnace.
But even with all this success, all this resistance, there's still this feeling of recurrence.
Yes.
You beat the system, you turn the grave into a victory track, but that psychological loop just keeps going.
The pre-hook captures it perfectly.
Every restart feels like deja vu, and then the audio reinforces it with that echo tail.
Like a loop you can't undo.
And that feels like the tragic core of it all.
It is. They win the battle for self-definition, but the pattern, the methodology of the trauma, is so deeply imprinted they feel trapped in a perpetual cycle of fighting. The armor works,
But the war never ends.
Right. And that leads to that incredibly complex internal contradiction that defines this armored self.
The sweet tart venom with a bite that grew.
Harpstring angel with a demon's view. The armor isn't pure. It can't be.
It's composite. It requires using the venomous, demon-like qualities that came from the trauma.
Even as you're striving for that higher angel state, that dual nature brings us to the final synthesis, which is in the bridge.
Where the theme of methodology comes back.
For its final, devastating realization. And the sound design here is so key. Those repeating phrases. Carries the weight, carries the light.
That broken lullaby again. That echo ritual reinforcing the pattern.
And that ritual connects the cause and the effect. The central trauma was methodical, and the lyrics in the bridge conclude with this stark understanding.
Her love was methodical.
And it made me methodical too.
So, if the survival strategy is defined by adopting the exact pattern of the original trauma becoming methodical, precise, emotionally detached, doesn't that raise a terrifying question?
It's the central question.
Does that just make the survivor as rigid as the system that hurt them?
It raises the fundamental question of true liberation versus, say, optimized survival. The trauma was a structured curse.
And the self-definition is a structured defense.
So while the generational chain might be broken, the speaker isn't a victim anymore. The generational rhythm may have been internalized.
It's a necessary transformation then, but a dangerous one.
It is. It requires adopting the cold precision of the very thing that created the pain in the first place.
So what does this all mean for us, for you listening? The journey here is one of absolute self-creation born out of absolute brokenness.
A roadmap.
Yeah, a map showing the adoption of armor, confronting that methodical source, and the active resistance that turns victimhood into this functional and contradictory new identity. They didn't just survive the trauma.
They engineered a throne out of it.
And that engineered structure, I think that's the crucial closing thought for you to take with you.
The question isn't whether the defense mechanism works. It clearly does. I mean, the speaker is thriving, headlining the news.
So what is the question?
The question is what it takes to maintain that architecture. If your survival is built on the precise, methodical replication of the trauma's original structure, even if you're the one in control now, are you ever truly free of it?
That is a heavy thought to land on. The lyrics were so specific. I stitched my pain into armor, wore the trauma like a throne. If that armor is made entirely of pain, and the throne is constructed wholly from trauma, what happens when the weight of the crown, that constant need to carry all that contradiction and methodology completely alone, what happens when that becomes heavier than the weight of the person carrying it?
I think that's the question.
And that's the question for you to explore as you process this deep dive.